What's up, J-Fusion fans? This is Philip and welcome back to another video. Now, today we are basically making a reaction to an article that I've read recently published by Daisuki Toku, and you can also read that article down in the description if you haven't seen it yet. So, what the article is about is that Japanese netizens are expressing their distaste for Kamen Rider Saber, which basically boils down to two things. So, number one is that there are too many characters introduced and they are introduced too quickly. And number two, which is kind of in relation to number one, with many Kamen Riders in the show, there are too many different kinds of deluxe items that have been coming out. So, yeah. This video isn't really a defense of Kamen Rider Saber. I'm not really defending, like, oh no, it's not bad. It's a good show. You should watch it. No, I'm not gonna do that basically, but we're just going to try and make sense of the situation. So first off, this is going to be an important point because the head writer for Kamen Rider Saber, Takuro Fukada, was the head writer of Kamen Rider Ghost, which is basically considered by a lot of Kamen Rider fans to be the weakest entry in the Kamen Rider franchise, or rather the Heisei era Kamen Rider franchise. But so far, we're just 8 episodes in, so I can't say anything so conclusive just yet. Now, comparing that to the first few episodes of Kamen Rider Ghost, I would say that Kamen Rider Saber so far is doing much better than Kamen Rider Ghost, also in its first 8 episodes. Uh, of course, I'm definitely going to watch if Kamen Rider Saber will get better over time. Will it stay the same or will it worsen? So again, only 8 episodes in, it's too early to say anything conclusive. So yeah, but since we've mentioned Kamen Rider Ghost already, let's compare the main characters. So we have Toma and Takeru. Now, as for characterization, so far I actually like Toma a lot better than Takeru. Now, Takeru does have some kind of character growth throughout the run of Kamen Rider Ghost. However, the better character development episodes actually go to either Makoto or Alan. So, you do have like other Kamen Riders that get better episodes, and then you are left with a weak main character, That doesn't really happen with Kamen Rider Saber so far. So yeah, you do have so many riders coming in. Like so far, we already have 7. But Toma on the onset is actually likable, and by episode 7, he had shown us that he can actually become a strong leader, despite being the new guy in the Sword of Logos. He actually manages to pull the team together. He basically knew the strengths of each rider that that he's met so far, and coordinate an attack in order to save the day and win the battle. And yeah, uh, definitely more likable than Takeru in that aspect. But of course, as for character development, so this is where the first problem mentioned comes in. So too many uh, characters, especially Kamen Riders, they come in, they come too fast. So far, yeah, I kind of agree with that point. Uh, well, there's definitely a lot focus a lot of focus on Toma, well, considering that he is the main protagonist, but like for example, like Rintaro's sudden like breaking of his character when he discovered the truth behind what happened to his master, like that was well done in my opinion. But of course, again, it's like I would like to see some focus episodes on the other riders as well. Well, uh, Kento, for example, definitely has his moments, albeit mostly related to his father. Uh, so we probably would see a lot of Kamen Rider Espada focus episodes that may involve Caliber, but I guess that's par for the course, being your dad and all, I guess. But for the other characters, we're yet to see them. Definitely Ryo Ogami, so Ryo Kamen Rider Buster, a lot of his focus episodes, presumably, like I can really imagine, do involve his son Sora a lot. So who knows what could happen with the character episodes? Again, uh, yes, we already have seven, and focusing on one character uh, probably isn't the priority of the writers right now, apparently. But so going back to the press conference of Kamen Rider Saber, so it's already been established that more than 10 riders are going to be introduced. Now, this brings to mind Kamen Rider Ryuki. And Kamen Rider Ryuki probably is one of, if not the largest roster of Kamen Riders in a single show by far, with 13 Kamen Riders, which already include Fam and Ryuga, by the way, and even 15 if you would like to consider the alternatives as Kamen Riders. But the main difference is between Kamen Rider Saber and Kamen Rider Ryuki is that Kamen Rider Ryuki uses the idea of rider versus rider as its main concept. However, with Kamen Rider Saber, the concept of teamwork is strongly used. So uh, I'm not sure, but in the end, it may be in the execution of the theme. So it depends on how the writers are going to pull this off in future episodes. So I'm not saying that the introduction of the Kamen Riders so far. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that it's too fast. Considering that again, so now comparing Kamen Rider Saber to Super Sentai, well, uh, recently, of course, there have been a lot of similarities, but basically, for Super Sentai, each Super Sentai revolves around a team. Surely, the Red Ranger takes the spotlight most of the time because mostly they're leaders. But for Kamen Rider, the idea of individuality is stronger there. You have an established main character. You have the titular character, and as expected, most of the story revolves around him. And what happens is he does usually stand out, you know, out of all the characters in a Kamen Rider show, the main protagonist will definitely shine through. And even in the case of Kamen Rider Saber, albeit, Toma has potential leadership skills, he is able to bring the team together and they work together as team. So again, Super Sentai parallel right there, but yeah, having the entire roster of the Sword of Logos Riders is something that I'm looking forward to. You know, just like what Toma did in episode 8. So he gathered his team, he gathered the other riders to work together, just as King Arthur did with the Knights of the Round Table. And that's what I am assuming is going to happen in future episodes with the future Kamen Riders coming in. Whether there's going to be another enemy rider, or probably another traitor within the Sword of Logos, we don't know yet, because so far there's only one enemy rider, which is Caliber. But again, uh, the idea is there. It's all down to the execution that I'm, that which is the one that I'm waiting to see. So again, we're going to have to wait for that in future episodes. Now, this will lead us to the next point, which is the problem that apparently Japanese fans of the show have, which is too many deluxe toys. Now, again, I'm going to go back to uh, the press conference. So let's rewind again. And in the press conference, like I've said, there are more than at least 10 Kamen Riders planned to appear in the show. Probably maybe a little above. So uh, I am not sure if it's going to be the same as Kamen Rider Ryuki. And apart from the three main Kamen Riders, each rider of the Sword of Logos has a unique transformation device, which of course also serves as their main weapon. So, as for Saber, Blades, and Espada, they all have the Seiken Sword Driver, of course. The only differences are the Wonder Ride books that they use to transform and the sword guards for each of their swords, which make them unique. But as for the rest of the Kamen Riders in the show, obviously we have different weapons, such as Kamen Rider Buster's Great Sword, uh, Kamen Rider Kenzan's Twin Ninjato, which combine into a Shuriken, and then coming soon is Kamen Rider Slash's Gunblade, so a sword that can transform into a gun as well. Now, I have seen comments, where people would like to see a gun wielding Kamen Rider in Kamen Rider Saber. And again, rewinding back to the press conference, it is established that all the Kamen Riders that will appear in the show are swordsmen. So basically, Slash is the closest that we can get to a gun wielding Kamen Rider in the show. So at least his sword transforms into a gun as well. And the rest are going to be swordsmen. Like I'm expecting a katana wielding Kamen Rider, more of a samurai because Kenzan is a ninja, obviously. So who knows if we are also getting that? Probably a Kamen Rider, with a Chinese style Dao, I guess, because it seems to be more unique than the Jian. But like I'm also hoping for a rapier wielding Kamen Rider. Who knows? Like everything is possible. So, and for me, this works because I love swords and swordplay. I have mentioned this probably in many videos, and I think I even said that in my reaction to the press conference. But yes, I love swords and swordplay. So this probably my bias, but this is probably one of the reasons why I personally enjoy watching Kamen Rider Saber so far, is because of all the sword action. Now, okay, so as per the toys, so yes, we do have the unique transformation devices slash main weapons, but I have to say that you don't have to feel compelled to buy each and every deluxe transformation item that you have, or that they have rather, and you don't have to buy the figures, all of the figures that have been coming out as well. But you know what? Let's compare this to Super Sentai for a bit again in terms of the toy lines that are out. So for Super Sentai, especially with Kira Major right now, of course you have the deluxe transformation devices. So the Kirame Changer, the Kira Full Go Arrow. Of course, you have the deluxe weapons. You do have the deluxe robos, and you also have sold separately the uh, individual interchangeable parts for the deluxe robos. You have the soft vinyl figures, yes, and the closest they have to actual action figures would be the Yudo candy toys. So at least so far I've counted seven. Now, for Kamen Rider Saber, they have a bigger toy line, but of course, first is the Seiken Sword Driver. So you do have the interchangeable parts to make it, you do have the separate parts for blades and espada, and of course you have the Wonder Ride books. Now, we're going to have to separate like Kamen Rider Buster, Kenzan, and Slash as well. So that's already six toys. We also have Kamen Rider Caliber, by the way. So yeah, that's already seven. And as for the figures, well, you do have the vinyl figures. You have the Sodo. You have the RKF. And now you even have like the SHF figures, because right now Saber and Blades are already out in the market and you can pre-order them right now. So I've counted at least 11 toys for Kamen Rider Saber, or like toy lines for Kamen Rider Saber. So yeah, they have a bigger variety of toys out for Kamen Rider Saber. And again, because there are more Kamen Riders coming to the show, so expect more deluxe transformation devices coming out as well. Now, that is probably one of the problems that Japanese fans are saying, that, and to them, they say, according to what I've read in the article, uh, they feel that Kamen Rider Saber is more of a 30-minute toy commercial because of all the riders and their unique and individual transformation devices. So, as you know, also as a way of promoting the figures as well. But I have to say, well, you really don't have to feel obliged to buy everything. So, um, I don't. I guess I don't want to sound preachy, but coming from a guy who basically doesn't have a lot of money to spend on such toys in the first place, what you probably can do is settle for the cheapest one you can find. Or let's say, for example, if you're buying figures, like uh well, if you're like me, you go for the cheapest. So I buy soda, which is probably why almost all of my toy review videos on this channel are basically soda reviews. Again, they're the cheapest you can get. Uh, they're easy to collect, and yeah, they're cheap. Did I mention that they're inexpensive? So yeah, that's the point. And well, if you want something, probably yes, a bit higher price, but maybe some higher quality, then you have the RKFs. So well, SHF definitely like the best figures, but the quality is well, yeah, the best quality, but also the price goes up. So it depends. But again, uh probably just go for your favorite rider. You don't have to collect every single one of them unless you're that guy who has you know all that money to spend anyway. So if you're that guy, then by all means go ahead and whale. But also, like considering uh the global economy, because of the pandemic, then most of us really wouldn't have, the extra cash to spend on deluxe toys, especially on deluxe figures, like especially SHFs. And we pretty much would rather spend our money on something that's more productive, realistically speaking. But yeah, so, you know again, if you're into toy collecting, well, and you don't have a lot of cash to spend, you saving up is an option, definitely. But just buy one deluxe transformation device, for example, that you really would like to have. Or if you're into figures, then I highly suggest that you go for the cheapest ones, like Sodo, for example, or maybe RKF. So either one of the two, I would say. But again, SHF is like only recommendable if you do have the extra money. But yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. If you don't have the money for it, then I would say, like, because I don't have the money for it, like, I feel like I don't have the right to complain anyway, because why am I complaining? I'm not buying it. There's no point in that, like, if I buy a deluxe Seiken sword driver, for example, and find that it's not par with my standards, it's not what I feel like I want it to be, you know like, I bought it and I feel like I've been cheated out of, uh, I feel like I've been cheated. So probably that's the only time that I can definitely complain about the toys. But if I complain about something that I'm not going to buy anyway, then I would just look dumb. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's just how I think it is. Now, I'm sorry if I sound that way, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But you know what? From my standpoint, like, uh, I really don't care about the commercials, like, or I really don't care if Kamen Rider Saber feels like a toy commercial, like a glorified 30-minute toy commercial. But uh, that's just how some people think about it, but not me. Now, if you're looking at Kamen Rider Saber, like, oh, there's so many characters, like, there's not going to be enough character development. Like, I guess I would say, like, look at all the characters in Kamen Rider Saber as a group rather than individually, because again, like, the concept of teamwork is very strong. Uh, and if you're distracted, by the designs of the deluxe figures, or if you think that uh, Kamen Rider Saber feels more like a commercial than a TV show, then maybe you're looking at it, the wrong way, I guess. But that's just me. That's I think that's what I think. Other people think differently. Well, how you perceive Kamen Rider Saber, at the end of the day, it's really up to you guys, really. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video. Again, the link to the article published by Daisuki Toku will be down in the description. So go ahead and check it out. So shout out to them, and big thanks to them as well for creating the article in the first place. So yeah, if also please do leave a like, comment, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!